there, this is Karim. I'm an ESL teacher and I have 8 years of experience. I'm making this video to whom it may concern on my observation and evaluation to Jaime Medina as a teacher and his teaching techniques. Actually, after observing so many of Jaime's classes, I came up with the conclusion that I wrote, of course, different points that I'm going to talk about in this video, and evaluating him as a teacher generally, and his technique and his methodology of teaching English as a second language. So I would like to start off by his warm-up or his warmer. Jaime usually asking students questions and starting having a free discussion about anything in life. But beforehand, he planned his lesson plan to direct the students and lead them in the topic of today's class. So he has in his lesson plan the topic, and he knows what he's going to teach. So he's preparing a couple of questions to the students so he can make them think about the topic subconsciously, and he can lead them in and warm them up and get them ready to study what we are about to study for today. That's what I like, the first point that I like from the beginning of the class. Then when it comes to throughout the whole class, the whole session, he's always and constantly correcting the students, which is very good, Whenever the student is making a mistake, sometimes he corrects it directly, but most of the time, what I've observed, that he corrects the students in the other way around. I mean, he gives the students different options. In between the options is the correct answer, and he makes the students come up with the correct answer. Because most of the mistakes that the student make constantly are some simple, easy things related to vocab, like they mispronounce a word, or related to a grammar rule that they have already studied before. So they already know the answers, so it's kind of self-correction. So he's helping the student to self-correct themselves throughout the whole class, which is something that I really, really like about his technique. The third thing is Jaime is always acting in a classroom as the role of a helper and facilitator to the students, more than a teacher-student relationship. No, it's more or less, a helper or facilitator. He's kind of friends, atmosphere in the classroom, which makes the students more relaxed and more happy and more open to make mistakes and not afraid to make a mistake. But on the other hand, they are happy, free, outgoing, and they are just like living naturally and practicing the language subconsciously. So at this point of the correction, and whenever the student doesn't know an answer, he's always giving clues, giving keywords that help them. He's like, sometimes he mimes the word so they can come up with the word themselves. He doesn't say it clearly or directly. No, he just gives them a clue or the first sound of the letter, and then they come up with the whole word after. All right. Also, one of his classes, he was teaching listening comprehension. I'd like the idea that he made the students listen twice. The first time, the student was listening for a specific information, and then after that, he listened again for details and answering an exercise and some questions to check the students' understanding. Also, Jaime is all the time checking the students' understanding by asking them questions, throughout the whole class and the whole session to make sure they fully understand the target vocab or the target grammar of the class or of today. So another thing that I like about Jaime, for the freer practice, so for the controlled practice, for the listening part, he has some questions given from the book and so on, but then he allows the chance to the students after that to freely practice the target grammar or target vocab through helping them come up with their own sentences, by having another free conversation or asking them questions and directing them how to use the target vocab or grammar in a common talk or a free discussion, which is always also something very, very good about his class. So generally, Jaime's got a lot of good things about the class that is teaching all the time, and I like it so much. So I'm making this video briefly to send it to whom it may concern about his teaching techniques and methodologies. Sorry for making it so long. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. Goodbye.